Hey, book lovers! Today I'm going to tell you about a book that will either blow your mind or leave you completely bewildered. And honestly, both reactions are perfectly valid. Picture this. You're reading what you think is a regular coming-of-age story, when suddenly the protagonist starts casually chatting with spirits, the wind turns colors, and three-headed people are just strolling down the street like it's a normal Tuesday. Welcome to the wild, wonderful, and absolutely bonkers world of African magical realism. So let me tell you about Azaro, and no, that's not a typo. This kid has what you might call the ultimate case of buyer's remorse about being born. You know how some people joke about not asking to be born? Well, Azaro literally had a choice in the matter and is seriously regretting his decision. Here's the thing. Azaro is what's called an abiku in Nigerian culture. Think of it as the spiritual equivalent of a yo-yo. These are children whose spirits are still connected to the other world, meaning they have this annoying habit of dying in infancy and then coming back for round 2, 3, 4. You get the picture. It's like they're stuck in the world's most depressing game of peekaboo. Now, poor Azaro's mother has been through this emotional roller coaster more times than she can count. Imagine going through childbirth, falling in love with your baby, watching them die, grieving, and then surprise, they're back. It's enough to drive anyone to the edge of sanity. But here's where our story gets interesting. On his latest reincarnation, Azaro makes a decision that would make any therapist proud. He decides to stay. Not because he's particularly fond of earthly existence, mind you, but because he realizes his constant dying and coming back is absolutely destroying his mother emotionally. It's like the ultimate act of filial piety. Mom, I'll stop dying just to make you happy. The problem? His spirit friends are not having it. They're like that toxic friend group that can't stand it when someone tries to better themselves. They're constantly showing up, trying to drag him back to the spirit world. It's peer pressure taken to supernatural extremes. The kid gets his name in the most dramatic way possible. Picture this. There's a funeral happening, people crying, mourning, the whole 9 yards, when suddenly little Azaro sits up in the middle of his own funeral. He'd been taken by the spirits, fought them off like some kind of toddler action hero, and managed to escape back to the land of the living. Talk about making an entrance. The shocked witnesses immediately dubbed him Lazaro, as in Lazarus, the biblical guy who came back from the dead. Because apparently, even in traditional African settings, everyone appreciates a good resurrection story. But wait, it gets better. The spirits don't just give up. Oh no, they're like supernatural stalkers. Every single day, they're chasing this poor kid around, trying to convince him to come back. Imagine trying to go to school while being followed by invisible beings only you can see, constantly whispering, "Come back to the spirit world. We have cookies." Except instead of cookies, they probably have eternal rest, or something equally tempting to a kid dealing with earthly problems.
No thanks, I choose life.
And earthly problems there are aplenty. Azaro's family is dirt poor. His father, who goes by the absolutely fantastic name of Black Tyger, and yes, it's spelled with a Y because apparently regular spelling wasn't dramatic enough, works as a head porter. That's basically the most backbreaking, soul-crushing job you can imagine, carrying heavy loads for pennies. His mother sells things at the market, or at least she tries to when political thugs aren't destroying her stall. Speaking of politics, oh boy, let's talk about the political situation. The story is set during Nigeria's transition to independence, and there are two political parties duking it out for control. And their names? The Party for the Rich and the Party for the Poor? Subtle, right? It's like someone took political satire and made it real life. The Party for the Rich is basically what you'd get if you took every corrupt politician stereotype and cranked it up to 11. They're literally called the Party for the Rich. They have more money, more thugs, and more food to bribe people with. But here's the kicker. While they're beating people up, they're simultaneously broadcasting messages of love and peace through megaphones. It's like if Big Brother from 1984 decided to become a political party with a really bad marketing team.
Sorry, not interested.
Meanwhile, there's Madame Koto, who's basically the neighborhood success story gone wrong. She aligned herself with the Party for the Rich, and suddenly she's rolling in dough. She gets all the catering contracts, the first electricity in the community, the first car. She's living her best life while everyone else is struggling. She's like that friend who joins a pyramid scheme and suddenly thinks they're a business mogul. On the flip side, we have Black Tyger, who has the audacity to speak his mind. And his mind is decidedly anti-party for the rich. This makes him about as popular as a skunk at a garden party. He's constantly getting into fights. And I mean constantly. It's like he has a superpower for attracting trouble. His landlord, who's obviously a party for the rich supporter, keeps raising his rent. It's political persecution through property management.
The system works.
Then there's this photographer character who's basically the conscience of the community. He's going around documenting all the political violence and corruption, which makes him about as welcome as a health inspector at a greasy spoon diner. He's constantly on the run, capturing truth in a world that would rather live in lies. The environmental situation is equally depressing. The rapid development and urbanization is destroying everything. Trees are being cut down, rivers are becoming garbage dumps, and flooding is becoming a regular occurrence. It's like watching environmental disaster in fast forward. Black Tyger actually tries to organize cleanup efforts with some disabled beggars, but the filth keeps coming back with vengeance. Even when he goes around preaching about environmental responsibility, people think he's lost his mind. The poverty is so extreme it's almost driving Black Tyger insane. Here's a man who wants to provide for his family but feels completely powerless to change their situation. His political views are threatening his job. His wife can't sell at the market because thugs keep destroying her stall, and they have to keep spending what little money they have on ceremonies every time their son goes on one of his spiritual adventures.
Why does this keep happening to me?
But then Black Tyger has what can only be described as an enlightenment moment. After recovering from his worst fight yet, he goes on this philosophical rant that sounds like it came from an ancient sage. He talks about how strange beings have come among humanity and how people are afraid to fight them. He says things like,
people who look like human beings are not human beings. Strange people are amongst us. We must be careful. Our lives are changing. Our gods are silent. Our ancestors are silent.
It gets even more mystical.
The man whose light has come on in his head, in his dormant sun, can never be kept down or defeated. We can redream this world and make the dream real. Human beings are gods hidden from ourselves.
And then he drops some serious wisdom.
People who use only their eyes do not see. People who use only their ears do not hear. It's more difficult to love than to die. It is not death that human beings are most afraid of. It is love. The heart is bigger than a mountain. One human life is deeper than the ocean.
It's like he's channeling every inspirational quote you've ever seen on Instagram, but actually meaning it.
I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet.
Throughout all this chaos, there are rats. Lots of rats. They're not just regular rats, though. They're metaphorical rats representing the nouveau riche, who are basically eating away at society from the inside. They're destroying the little food Azaro's mother has managed to save, just like how the corrupt politicians are destroying whatever little stability the community has. This extraordinary, mind-bending, reality-warping story is The Famished Road by Ben Okri, published in 1991. This 500-page journey into the heart of African magical realism won the Booker Prize, and after experiencing this story, I can absolutely understand why. Let me tell you, this book is not for the faint of heart or the rigidly realistic. Okri has created a world where the line between the physical and spiritual realms is so blurred it might as well not exist. Everything is alive, everything has meaning, and everything is connected in ways that Western literature rarely attempts. The central theme is obviously politics and corruption. Okri uses the absurdly named political parties to show how power corrupts absolutely, and how the innocent suffer while the corrupt prosper. The Party for the Rich's doublespeak preaching love while committing violence is a brilliant commentary on political hypocrisy that feels painfully relevant today. But underneath the political satire lies a deeper exploration of poverty and its dehumanizing effects. Black Tyger's journey from a proud man to someone teetering on the edge of insanity shows how systemic oppression can break even the strongest spirits. The fact that his family has to spend their meager resources on spiritual ceremonies every time Azaro returns from his otherworldly adventures adds another layer of cruel irony. The environmental theme is equally powerful. Okri doesn't just describe ecological destruction. He shows how it parallels social and spiritual decay. The filth that keeps returning with vengeance despite cleanup efforts becomes a metaphor for how deeply entrenched corruption and decay have become in society. What struck me most about this book is how Okri uses the concept of the Abiku, the spirit child, to explore themes of belonging, identity, and choice. Azaro's struggle to stay in the physical world mirrors the broader struggle of African societies caught between traditional ways and modern pressures. He's literally caught between worlds, just as his community is caught between colonial influence and independence. The writing itself is absolutely stunning. Okri has this ability to make even the most fantastic elements feel grounded and real. When he writes,
"In the beginning there was a river. The river became a road, and the road branched out to the whole world."
you can feel the mythic weight of those words. He's not just telling a story, he's creating a cosmology. His use of synesthesia, describing wind as silvery or blue, and his animistic descriptions where inanimate objects have agency, create this dreamlike quality that perfectly captures the African worldview he's presenting. This isn't just magical realism. It's a completely different way of understanding reality itself. The road of the title works on multiple levels. It's literally the road that represents European colonization and the disruption of traditional life. But it's also metaphorical. The road of life, the road of spiritual journey, the road of political and social change. When Okri writes,
"It was a night replaying its corrosive recurrence on the road of our lives, on the road which was hungry for great transformations."
he's capturing the sense of a society in flux, hungry for change but uncertain what that change will bring. Ben Okri's life story is almost as fascinating as his fiction. Born in Nigeria but raised in London, he returned to Nigeria in 1968, just in time to witness the Civil War firsthand. That experience of political violence and social upheaval clearly influenced his writing. He's someone who has lived between worlds, African and British, traditional and modern, which gives him a unique perspective on the themes he explores. His appointment as fellow commoner in creative arts at Trinity College, Cambridge shows the literary establishment's recognition of his talent. But what I find more impressive is his early work as poetry editor for West Africa magazine and his broadcasting for the BBC World Service. He was giving voice to African literature and perspectives on international platforms. His earlier novels, Flowers and Shadows and The Landscapes Within, apparently deal with similar themes of young people trying to make sense of chaos in their family and country. It seems like The Famished Road represents a maturation of those themes, where he found the perfect literary form to express the complexity of African experience. This book is not an easy read, but it's a rewarding one. If you're someone who needs everything to make logical sense, who can't suspend disbelief, or who gets frustrated by ambiguity, this might not be for you. But if you're willing to open your mind to a completely different way of seeing the world, The Famished Road offers an experience unlike anything else in literature. It's a book that asks you to believe in the impossible while showing you truths about the very possible. Poverty, corruption, environmental destruction, and the human cost of political upheaval. It's Harry Potter for adults, but set in a world where magic is everyday reality and the real monsters are human greed and power. The fact that Okri maintains this level of poetic beauty and philosophical depth for 500 pages is nothing short of miraculous. Every line is crafted with care, every image serves a purpose, and every fantastic element illuminates something real about the human condition. As an African reader, this book might feel like coming home to familiar spiritual concepts. As a non-African reader, it might feel like visiting an alien world. But regardless of your background, it's a book that will change how you think about reality, spirituality, and the power of storytelling itself. So, should you read The Famished Road? If you're ready for a challenge, if you love beautiful language, and if you're willing to expand your understanding of what literature can do, then absolutely. Just be prepared for a journey that will take you places you never imagined possible. What do you think? Are you ready to take a walk down the Famished Road? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into extraordinary literature. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're interested in diving deeper into this book, I've left some links down in the description. You can use it to grab yourself a copy and keep the adventure going. And if you're in the mood for more great reads, don't go just yet. Click on one of the videos popping up right now that I think you'll love. And don't forget to give this review a like, leave a comment, or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. Every bit of support helps us grow this little community of book lovers. See you in the next one.